So it's been a while since I've talked about making comics, to the point where some of you guys don't even know that I make comics. But yeah, I do make comics. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. We also create comics. We haven't done that in a while. We haven't talked about making comics, but yeah, like I mentioned, that is something that I do. And I don't know, I've kind of kept that whole thing in the background for a while. I haven't really shared my comic book making progress lately, but I have been busy working on my comics, so I thought I would kind of give you an update and tell you what's going on with that, and we might sprinkle in some other things, but yeah, so, and comics is sort of how this whole channel kind of, well, I guess I was doing this channel before I was talking about doing comics, but I wasn't doing much with it. It really took this thing called the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. So if you're not familiar with it, then prepare to be enlightened. And if you are, then you're probably like, I've heard this before. So bear with me. But so the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge is something that my friend Kevin Cross started. Kevin Cross, creator of This Guy Monkey Mod. That's his comic that he started with. And he started doing this thing where it was a challenge where he would spend 30 minutes a day, every day, working at least 30 minutes, sometimes more, but at least 30 minutes a day, every day, working on his own personal comic book project, and do that for 100 days straight. So the idea was that after you do that, you'll have a lot more work done on your comic. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll finish a comic, but you'll definitely be further along. So that was sort of the challenge, and I was sort of one of the early adopters to that. I think it was maybe like the third, if at the very most, the fourth person to kind of jump in. And since then, hundreds of people have taken the challenge, and it's an ongoing thing. Some people have succeeded, some people have failed, some people have failed and come back and then succeeded. Some people have succeeded several times. I think Kevin has done it like maybe 5 times. I've done it twice for 2 issues of my comic, and I guess I should kind of go into what my comic's all about. Okay, well, maybe put a pin in that. I'll tell you what my comic's all about in a minute, but we've got mail, so we're gonna go up here to the Vaculux, this thing right here, and okay, so we've got some stuff, and I think these may be comics that I ordered from some of my friends. So let's see what's in here. Now, of course, you'll notice that these things are kind of small. You know, here we've got some stuff here. It's a little, you know, little bit small. So because we can't send big packages like comic size packages or boxes or whatever through the Vaculux, because you know, it's not big enough. So what we have to do is, and I don't know if I have one, I've got a little water drippy thing, I gotta find it. But basically these are dehydrated package. We dehydrate them so that we can send them through the Vaculux, and then we'll open them. But so what we gotta do now is we gotta take these little things and we gotta bring them back to normal size. So let's do that right now. All right, here we go. Normal size. They look like they're normal size. Hopefully, so far we haven't had any accident where we've blown them up a little too small or a little too big. We've got this down to a science. This is a mad scientist lab, so we've got that down. But we have three packages, or one's a package, two are packages, one's a postcard. So I thought I'd share these with you guys. So the first one, I wanted to show you this. This is from my friend Jeff Lafferty, who's running a Kickstarter, or not a Kickstarter. He ran an Indiegogo, but he's completed it and everything. It's all fully funded. And as part of a backer, I got this postcard of his character, the Berserkernaut. And Jeff is a friend of ours who has kind of always, you know, been around with us while we were doing the 100 Days of Making Comics, but he kind of was always like, yeah, I think you guys are crazy for doing this, but for whatever reason this year he decided, you know what, I'm going to do the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. He did that, and not only did he complete, well, he hasn't completed the challenge, he's still doing it, but he did complete the book. I think the book was like, it was in production already before he started, but man, he really banged that thing out. He did a really awesome job. So the book is done, and he's successfully funded it, like I said. So yeah, this is his character. So thanks, Jeff, for sending me that. And man, it looks awesome. I can't wait to get the book. And the book, he's gave updates and everything, and it should be should be coming out. I think he sent the files to the printer and everything, and that's what's awesome. I love when creators have most of their project done before they go to crowdfund it, or all of it done, so you don't have to wait so long, because that's kind of the thing that when people start like a project, they don't have anything done, and like, well, I just want you to fund me doing it, and I guess that's okay, but it's like, am I ever gonna get it? But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get this project from Jeff. So that's Jeff's postcard for his comic. Let's see, what is this here? I got this. Okay, so this is from another one of my friends, Holly Brown, who also is a 100 Days of Maine Comics alum. And so she created this book. This is really interesting. Now, this is sort of a, I don't know if it's fan fiction. Is it fan fiction if there's no story to it, if it's just art? Fan art, I guess that's what it is. So this is a collection of fan art for My Hero Academia, who, so far I've only watched like, I think I've watched 3 episodes. My son is a big anime fan, so he's trying to get me into it, and I totally dig the premise. Sometimes with anime, it's hard for me to get into because the emotions and stuff is just so off the charts. Like it just from like, it's like 0 to 60, like the drama and everything. So I got to get a little used to that. But I have seen a lot of anime that I do like. This one I've got to get used to. But I did love the premise of sort of this kid who doesn't really have powers, or I guess he sort of gains powers, and I've got to, again, I've only watched the first 3 episodes, but he's like a hero who lives in a world where there's all these heroes, and he wants to be a hero too, but he's got to work a little harder for it, and so far I love it. But anyway, so this is sort of a collection of fan art that she curated, Holly curated, and the cool thing about it, the one thing that I found so intriguing was everything goes along with this color scheme. So every artist that contributed to this thing had to follow with this color scheme. So that was so smart, and I don't know if she came up with this idea or if it's something other people have done, but it seems to me brilliant, because the one thing, when you have a lot of artists submitting different things, it can tend to look kind of haphazardly thrown together. But just going through this, I'm just gonna quickly, you can see the color schemes. And I am like super impressed with the level of the artists in this. And the other thing is, usually when people are submitting artwork, not all of it looks this great, but everything in here, I mean, I don't think there's an illustration or an artist in here that isn't very confident. There's some really good stuff in here. So that is super cool. So Holly, thanks for sending that out. And let's see, we've got another one. Okay, so this is from another friend of mine, Dan Ikas, who I don't know that he's done the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge exactly, but he has completed a comic, an indie comic, so it's pretty much the same thing. I don't know if it's part of 100 Days, but Dan's really cool. We've had him on the Artcasters a couple of times now, and I have been waiting for this book. Now, the one thing I wanted to say about this was, so if I can remember, I will put links to these creators and everything in the description, or in the comment section. Yeah, in the description. But so Dan right now is, and if definitely check this out, because he's doing another series of prints called Battle, and it's all this sort of fantasy characters. If you've seen Dan's style, you know what it's about. It's kind of unique. It's very, you know, it's like, he kind of picks into like these different cultures and everything, and kind of creates these warriors and characters from other cultures. It's really interesting. But the one thing I was going to say about Dan is, so he's launching this new thing, and at first I was like, oh, that's cool that he's launching this thing, but to me it's always like, well, before you launch a product, you should have delivered on your previous product, you know, before you launch a new one. And I've seen people that like have Kickstarters where they haven't even delivered on their Kickstarter, and they're launching another one. I'm like, whoa, why don't you complete the first one first? So I was super happy that Dan got all these out before even his new one launched. So it's just so cool, and it's also brilliant, and I don't know if this was his idea, but it's also brilliant marketing, because you get this in the mail and you're like, oh, in case maybe you're like, oh, I kind of forgot about that project, but you get it in the mail and it's like, oh, I got my book from Dan, and he's got something new going on right now. So it's like you're fresh in the mind right then. So I don't know if that was planned, Dan, but that was sort of brilliant marketing. So I'm just gonna skim through this briefly. Let's see what we got. So we got a sticker of his character. I think it said this guy's name. I thought he said his name was Bulo? I could be wrong. I gotta read the book. But so this little character And this, I think this is an exclusive cover just for the Kickstarter backers, all of which are listed here. I'm sure I'm in there somewhere. I'm not gonna go find my name right now. But oh man, oh, it looks so good. I'm not gonna show too much of it, but look at that. Oh man, I love this limited color palette. Look at that. Awesome stuff. So you definitely, I'm sure he's got other copies of this, but this, I cannot wait to read this. So Dan, thanks for getting that out. And yeah, so that's what I have so far as far as yeah, stuff that I got in the mail, some comics, which all goes in with the whole 100 days of making comics that I was talking about, and my comic, which I guess I should talk a little bit about. So as before I was interrupted, which wasn't a bad interruption because I got some cool stuff, but before I was interrupted by the Vaculux and all the cool stuff that I got, I was going to tell you about my comic book. So this is the current issue. Hopefully it won't be the current issue for long because I am getting closer to completing this book. But yeah, so this is Young and the Dead. It is a kids versus zombie story. It's sort of in the vein of Goonies. It's like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. So if you like Goonies, if you like Monster Squad, if you like Explorers, all those 80s kid action adventure movies where kids were kind of the heroes, and or more currently, if you're into like Stranger Things, you'll probably dig this. So I've got 3 issues so far. I am working on the 4th one. In the past, the last time I did the 100 Days of Making Comics, that's when I started the 4th issue, and so I completed the challenge, but I still had quite a bit of work done, and there was some time where I kind of fell off. But lately, as sort of an update, what this is an update on what's going on with my comic. I'm back to the spirit of the 100 Days of Making Comics, and I've been doing this for a while. I just haven't been reporting on it, which I don't know if that's good or bad. It was like I kind of felt guilty because it wasn't done yet, so I didn't want to like, oh yeah, I'm still doing it. So I was thinking, well, I'll just kind of surprise everyone when it's almost done, and then I'll let people know. And then I thought, then I got some comments from people. Some people wanted to know what was going on with it. Some people that were like, hey, you know what, you should do a comic. I'm like, well, yeah, actually, I guess I actually do a comic. I just haven't reported on it in a while. So I thought that I would give everyone a little bit of update on how everything's going. So I have been, in the spirit of the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge, I'm not doing the videos and all that stuff, but I'm putting in the work. I'm putting in the 30 minutes a day. So usually in a lunch hour, I'll spend at the very least 30 minutes a day working on, working on this comic. And where I'm at right now, it's all penciled, it's all inked, it's all flatted. And right now what I'm doing is the actual shading. As you can see here, let me show you right here. So it's a black and white book, but it's grayscale. So I've got to go in and do all the shading and everything. And that's what I'm doing right now. So, and I think I'm up to page, I'm on page 17 right now of a 22-page book of doing all the shading, and it's coming along. So I've been working on this for a while. It's coming along, and then after that I've got to do the lettering. There's some other kind of graphic design I got to put together for the book and all that stuff. But yeah, it is coming along, so hopefully it won't be too much longer. I guess I'm kind of shooting for towards the beginning of next year. So that's where I am right now. And I may have it completed before then, but I've got a bunch of other stuff to do that I'm sort of doing simultaneously. So just a lot of stuff that I'm working on sort of in the background, getting ready for next year. So yeah, that is what I'm working on. That's where I am with the comic. And so, I don't know, you guys let me know if you want me to do a little more of these updates, if you want me to show some of my process of this. I don't know if the shading is as interesting as actually drawing the comic and all that stuff, but if you want me to, I can do some stuff like that. Or we can just do the content that I always do. I try to do a variety of different content, all centered around, creating art and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I am with the comic. Let's see, I don't know, what other comics news is going on right now. So I guess I went to my local comic book store. I mean, I'm more of an indie comic comics kind of guy. So I haven't read a lot of like Marvel and DC lately, although I love Marvel and DC. I kind of grew up with all that. I don't know a whole lot what's going on, but every once in a while I'll pick up one of their titles and read it. I'm like, that's kind of cool. But I got this review. So I went to my local comic store, and unfortunately the one closest to me, they don't stock a lot of indie books. They do carry some stuff for me that I've requested, like in my pull box and everything. All the alternate titles that I love, I get those, and there's some other ones that they throw in there. But so the owner was telling me about some cool stuff that's coming out, and I'm like, oh man, I got to get in on this. So like I mentioned, because my book is sort of that, you know, kid adventure 80s type stuff. I love Stranger Things, and I guess Dark Horse Comics is putting out a Stranger Things comic. Kind of, I guess it's from the perspective of Will. I guess when he maybe was in the Upside Down, which that sounds pretty cool to me. So I'm interested with that. So I put that on. So I guess that's a limited series for, I think it's 4 issues. So I'm getting that. But the other thing I was super into, and I just thought this was a brilliant idea, and I don't know why they haven't come out with it since, was I was told that there's going to be a Mystery Science Theater 3000 comics, and you can probably judge by the green lab coat, aka, you know, sort of a la Dr. Forrester, just the setting here. I am a big MS3K fan, so MST3K fan, but is that right? I don't know if that's right. I don't know if I've ever said that out loud. But anyway, I'm a big fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And but the premise of the comic book just sounds brilliant, because what they're going to do is they are going to take, I guess, old public domain comics and go through them and kind of do the same Mystery Science Theater treatment that they do to old public domain movies, and do this with public domain comics. And I thought that was great, and I can't wait to see it. And a while ago, like I mentioned before, Kevin Cross did this series called Traveling Through the Bronze Age. It might still be on iTunes if you want to search for it, but him and a friend, they did this thing where they would go through old Bronze Age comics, like old Black Lightning comics and old ROM comics, and, you know, and just kind of go through and lovingly sort of poke fun at it, although they are big fans of that stuff. But that was such a great series, and I can't wait to see how, and it is done by the writers of Mystery Science Theater 3000. So yeah, some cool stuff coming out in the comic stores that I'm looking forward to. I heard a review about this comic, so I picked this one out. Like I said, I don't know a lot of what's going on with Marvel and DC, but I heard a review on this, and it sounded like it was right up my alley. This West Coast Avengers, and it just sounded fun. So it's got this character Gwenpool. I'm not sure you're familiar with that. I think she started off as like Gwen Stacy as Deadpool sort of a thing in a Deadpool universe, and it kind of spun off. I don't know if she's actually Gwen Stacy though, because her name is actually Gwen Poole. That's her last name. But I picked up some of the issues of that. I haven't read all of them, but I picked up just because the artist Guri Huru, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right, but that's like one of my favorite artists, or I think it's a team of artists, 2 artists that go under that moniker. But I love that stuff. I love their stuff. They did all the Avatar Last Airbender not all of them, but all the good ones. Well, I shouldn't say that because I haven't read the other ones, but the ones I gravitate to, Guru Huru did all the artwork on that. So I just love their style. Very clean, very sort of animated style, but fun. So based on that, I just picked up the books, and I said, well, I got these books, I might as well read them. And they were just fun, just kind of really irreverent, and kind of sort of breaking that fourth wall like Deadpool does, but in sort of a different way, kind of more fun, not as violent, more, I don't know, but it was super fun. So when I heard about this, I picked it up, I read it, and it was super fun. I mean, these characters are not like your like super powerful hero. I think Hawkeye, which was one of the original West Coast Avengers from when I was a kid. I guess there's 2 Hawkeyes. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, but they actually poke fun at the fact that there's 2 Hawkeyes. It's got Deadpool, it's got another character who's sort of a newbie, and it just looks like a fun team. I think her name's Miss America. But yeah, it's like it was just a fun book, because it's bonkers, basically. So I read it, and I'm like, yeah, I love this. I love that kind of humor. It was just ridiculous. And just all in good fun, that's what I love about comics, is they should be all in good fun. So thought I'd tell you about that if you're interested, if you're in a comics book store, you want to read that. But so that's kind of all the updates I have as far as comics go right now. My comics I'm reading, comics I've just got that I can't wait to read, like this particular one from Dan. But yeah, and again, I'll try to leave links to all that. But yeah, so thank you for bearing with me through all this, just giving sort of an update. A little different video format, didn't do any drawing on this one. Apologize if that's what you're looking for, but there will be drawing videos coming, and so just stay tuned, and I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here in the Art Lab. There's a lot of other great content on the channel, so click that subscribe button and you won't miss a thing. If you're an aspiring evil genius, visit Serkworks.com for all your mad science supply needs. And if you want to contact me, hit me up in the comments section or follow me on social media. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you then.